I'm Heather Keays with the Keays Group Real Estate Team, and I'm here with.
Martin Dovey.
All right, thank you, Martin. I think today we're going to do our market update for the week of March 18th.
Yes, sounds good.
All right, let's get started. So, the first thing I want to go over is the number of active properties that are for sale right now in Las Vegas. So, what is that number?
3,319, just slightly up from the week before. It was 3,312. So we're staying pretty steady on inventory for the last few weeks. But that is quite a bit lower than the November-December period of last year.
Yes, let me take a look. So, in November, we had 4,000 homes for sale. So, about 800
Less homes.
less homes. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
available today. Yeah.
what does that indicate for buyers today?
Well, they have less choices. There's less homes. There's actually more buyers out there than there was in that time period of the November, December, because if we look here, we can see that there's 633 homes went under contract last week. And back in the November, December type period, that was in the 400s. So more buyers going after less homes.
Yeah, I can see that change there. So, this week we had 507 new listings hit the market. And what did we have go under contract? You said 600.
633. So that's very interesting because it's telling us last week we had more buyers than sellers.
Yeah. So we don't have enough. We're absorbing more of the homes, or buyers are absorbing more of the homes than are hitting the market.
Absolutely. We've just under 9 weeks of inventory, whereas back in November, December, that number was 12, 13 weeks. So the market has changed in favor of the seller to the detriment of the buyer.
Yeah. And I think that's probably going to be a trend that we see, don't you think, based on history of last year? I know you studied the numbers a lot from last year.
Just basically that's what we see in the spring market. We see the buyers coming out, and if we look at last year in the April, May, June time period, we saw median prices go up for single family residences. Yeah, they were like 425 right around March of last year. And by the time we got to July, that price had risen to 450.
So a
Maybe
$25,000 price
correct
increase.
in those 3, 4 months.
Wow, that could put some people in a pinch, especially with interest rates is where they are.
Yeah,
That if
absolutely. But
waiting
they
could cost them.
and those interest rates have been with us for some time now.
Hmm. Right. So some steadiness on the interest rates.
Yes, and the interest rates
That's
were
great.
still high about a year ago. So, and
Okay.
we still saw some price increases. We still saw buyers coming into the market and
Okay.
driving prices up.
So I talked to our lender, Dustin DeHart,
Yeah,
last week, and he said that he's starting to see multiple offers and then also that competition of buyers. And these numbers would absolutely indicate that's what we kind of expect to see.
we're seeing that the numbers are telling us that, and being in the industry, we're talking to other agents. So we're hearing what they're seeing as well as what we're seeing them ourselves. So
Right.
that tends to be the general experience, both by the numbers and the experience of the agents.
Right. So the other number I like to look at is this list price to sales price. I know not all markets, not all real estate markets are like this, but we're in a unique market where sellers are getting 98.4% of their price, their list price.
That's the average. And some sellers are asking higher prices more than the market will bear. So this is really the average. So that's a pretty high number.
Yeah, I think that if a seller prices their home right, they're going to sell it. And if they
Absolutely.
overprice it, they're not going to be able to sell it. They'll have to do a price reduction.
And we see some of that. We see some price reductions. And in a market as strong as this, The only reason for a price reduction is sellers asking too high a price in the beginning. And that
Or
can hurt them,
condition. Yeah.
or condition. Well, it's
Mhm.
price for the condition.
Mhm.
And that can hurt them long going forward.
So right now we talked about the list price to sales price. The weeks on, did we talk about the weeks on market?
We did. We talked that it's just under 9 weeks. It's a little bit above, up from the week prior. It was 8.4, but that's not very low. That's a very low amount of inventory. And then if we look at the average days on, or the median days on market, that's about 20 days.
Right.
So house is only on the market 20 days before going under contract. And that's median. Nice. We know from talking to agents and from our own experience, some houses, if priced right, good condition, marketed
Mhm.
properly, they're gone in days with multiple offers.
Right. So I'm looking back a year ago and I see the inventory was 10 weeks available inventory last year.
Yes.
And so we've actually dropped. I could say that in December, it was probably the highest amount of inventory, 15 weeks.
Which, yeah, that's around the holidays.
Right. So that's
We
normal.
that's pretty normal year. Each year we see a rise in inventory over the holidays. But once we get into the spring market, we see those numbers.
Hmm.
The inventory drop dramatically,
Right.
which usually, it's why they call it the spring buying season.
Hmm. Yeah. You and I have both done this real estate deal for years now, probably more years than we
Absolutely,
want to say.
absolutely. We don't want to admit how long, but
Long enough.
long enough.
And we've seen the trends every year,
Yes,
February, March, April,
absolutely.
those number of homes for sale or sold start to hit a peak.
They do. And it's the relationship between the number of buyers and the number of sellers, supply and demand. It's basic economics. When you have more buyers than sellers, that will drive the price up. And we
Hmm.
typically see that each spring.
Right.
And we're just beginning to see it now.
So one of the things that we probably both agree on is that we like to advise our clients based on facts and not trying to predict the market. Is that
We can't predict the market. We look at the numbers and we look back historically to see what happened when we had similar numbers in past years.
right?
So that tends to be the best predictor. We don't have the crystal ball, but
Hmm.
that tends to be the best we can do.
Right. And the other thing too is that we study trends all the time.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest thing. This is
Yeah,
we can't predict the future, but we can use the numbers to help us determine
absolutely.
the trends.
Absolutely.
So right now, based on the information that we're seeing and the numbers that came out this week, what are you seeing in trends for what can a buyer expect for the next month, just based on the numbers?
I think for the house that's well presented, in good condition, that's priced right, you're probably going to be a good chance you may be in a multiple offer situation, especially if it's relatively new to the market. So I think if you want to get that house, you want to be pretty aggressive first time out.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
yeah,
I think that um, if if we were trying to figure out what's going to happen this spring, that we can say, like you mentioned, multiple offers. And it's always good to make a decision based on what is affordable to you, what makes sense financially, and not to try and assume what's going to happen when a buyer actually makes a purchase. So, is it a good time for a buyer to buy right now versus, say, in 6 months from now?
well, based on the historical data and what we saw last year, um, if a buyer was this time last year, if a buyer waited until July, that same house would cost them another 25,000.
I
So I would
can't
say,
argue that. I
I would
cannot
say
argue.
yes.
So it would be
Based
a
on
good time.
that, I would say yes.
Right. Yeah, especially with this 507 new listings, 633 going under contract. We are short every week on number of homes for sale. So it's only a matter of time before we deplete that 3,319 homes available for sale right now. It'll start depleting every
It
week,
will
getting lower
start,
and lower.
yeah, and
So less choices.
I'm looking at last year's number because this time last year we had over 4,000 homes on the market at this time. So
Yeah.
now we have less homes.
Yeah. So if it was tough last year, it's going to be tougher this year.
That's what the numbers are suggesting.
Right. Okay.
That's what the numbers are suggesting.
So when should someone start looking for a home if they're looking to um, buy in the next year? When should they start considering?
I think they should start becoming familiar with the market now. I think it's also important if they're a finance buyer
Mhm.
that they talk to a lender as soon as possible because it's not just the price of the home or the dollar amount of the home. We need to
Mhm.
look at your personal situation and see what the monthly payment would be. Because when it comes down to it, it's the monthly payment that's important. You need to be comfortable with that. It needs to be a payment that fits in your lifestyle.
Mhm.
And with that information, it translates into the type of home you come that's affordable to you.
Mhm. I would agree with that. I mean, nobody wants to be house poor.
Nobody
That's
wants
for
to be
sure.
house poor. And sometimes, even if it's a year out, you want to. We live in strange times, where there may be a derogatory in your on your credit that doesn't even belong to you.
That's a very good point.
So if that was to happen, it's better to know sooner than later.
Mhm.
It's very disappointing to be ready to buy a house, go to the lender and find a surprise.
Right.
You give yourself the time
Yeah.
to take care of it. And sometimes a lender can tell you, all right, if you do these one or two things, you can improve your situation.
Right. How much could that relate into a price? I mean, your
Absolutely.
monthly payment
It's
could
your
be
monthly
affected.
payment. Like with
Hmm.
conventional financing, a lender can tell you, do these one or two things and we can increase your credit score above a certain point. And that's going to help your interest rate, which that translates into dollars saved each month.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can buy for the budget you have in mind, you can get a little better house or nicer house, something that suits your needs
Hmm.
better.
Yeah.
So I always think the sooner you talk to the lender, the better.
I agree. So when I was buying, I spoke to a lender a year before I decided to actually
Absolutely.
take action because I wanted to make sure that I was in the best position to
Absolutely. Absolutely.
take advantage of everything available. And I could get a pulse on the market. I could get a clearer picture of the type of home that I wanted. So we got qualified a year in advance.
Absolutely.
Or-
And you really don't know what is the appropriate home to be looking at until you've spoken to it. The worst thing is to go out, find the house, fall in love with it, and then, oh, I got to talk to my lender. And the lender, after the discussion with the lender, either you can't afford it or you're not
Mhm.
going to be comfortable with the payment, the
Right.
monthly payment for that house. That's heartbreak. I've seen that happen.
Disappointing on
It's
all levels.
disappointing. It's emotional pain,
Mhm.
and you want to avoid putting yourself through that if at all possible. And it
Mhm.
is possible. Just go talk to the lender.
Yeah. Those are all great points. So, one of the things that we run into a lot is people moving here from out of state.
Yes.
I mean, you've talked to plenty of the buyers.
Lots of them. And if you're moving here from out of state, you are not alone. I think the numbers are something like 115 a day, something
Hmm.
4 to 5,000 a month. This city really is attracting a lot of people from many parts of the country.
Hmm.
So we see that a lot. Um, I think it's good to become familiar with the areas. And we've been around this town a long time. We can help you too in that home search.
Right, right.
We
And
can
people have different, they have different needs. So different
absolutely.
lifestyles. So different, in terms of they like the more outdoor lifestyle or they want retirement lifestyle.
Absolutely. All of that.
So,
The amenities.
mhm.
Um, they like to golf. Maybe they want to be in a golf course community. They like good restaurants. We
The
can
nightlife.
the nightlife, and as you said, the outdoors life. You know,
Hmm.
maybe you want to be close to Mount Charleston, do some hiking.
Hmm.
There's more to Vegas than just the strip.
That's absolutely right.
There's more to
But if you
Vegas.
want the strip, you got it too.
You have, but you can visit it.
You could visit it, yes.
You can visit it.
With people moving here, how soon should they start their search if they have a home to sell in another state?
I think they should start becoming familiar. I think they should, if they're going to be financing, uh, they need to talk to the lender, like we said. They need to become familiar with the areas, know what's
Hmm.
out there. They need to start with the end in mind,
Hmm.
and the end is here.
Right. That's a great point. That's a very good point.
The end is here.
Mhm.
So become familiar with what's out here, and it's an emotional thing. You're moving here for a reason. You need to find part of the town, the amenities you want, the homes you want, know what kind of budget you're dealing with, and as I say, talk to the lender so to know your monthly budget.
Right. Well, that's what I love about our group here at the Keys Group is that we really are informative. So people can come to us and ask us for information on different communities. They don't have to be
Absolutely.
afraid that they're going to be pressured into anything.
No,
We're very much about having informed buyers, which is why we go over the numbers and why we go over all the details of a move, especially if out of state. You really want to have that resource of agents working on your behalf ahead of time.
absolutely, absolutely. We want when our buyers or sellers, but if when our buyers, when the deal is done, we want our clients to be happy.
Absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
want them to have enjoyed the experience, feel that we gave them the education necessary for them to make a well-informed decision for themselves and their family.
We want to sleep at night knowing we did our best job for them.
Absolutely. And we do it because we want to sleep at night, we want to look in the mirror, and it's good for business.
Hmm.
From our own perspective, it's good for business. That's why the majority of our business is repeat and referral business.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge part of our
It's
business.
a huge part of our business, and we know from experience there's only one way
Hmm.
to do that. Take
Or
care of the clients.
take care of the clients and earn it.
Earn it. Earn it.
Hmm.
To we want our clients to be confident and comfortable, confident that we know what we're doing, and comfortable that they can trust us, that we can earn that trust.
Right. If staying on top of the market and knowing what's going on in the Las Vegas real estate market, or even just all of Las Vegas, is important to you, we want to be your trusted resource for all of that information. And that's why we do these numbers every week. And we also give you other information on the market, not just about the numbers, but what's it like living in Las Vegas. So if all of that is important, please be sure to watch next week's video. We're going to be putting out these videos every week for your benefit. Thanks for watching, and I'm Heather Keys, and this is.
Martin Dolby. And if you have any questions, how can they reach you, Heather?
Oh, our number is below. We have our number there, and we're happy to take your calls. And if you'd like to book an appointment, we do have an appointment setting option there, and you can click on that as well. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. See you next week.